and less spin now because there's been so much made this week about Major League Baseball and all the entire Miami Marlins testing positive, but other leagues are still playing. Johnny, I want to talk finance for a couple of minutes. Let's start with the fact that some of these leagues now, and it's all the media, you know how it is, everybody should stop playing. Do you think sports will continue to play?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, and I base that upon empirical evidence, not upon emotion, not upon anecdotal evidence about certain guys are scared to go play. You know, when we bet on games, Coach, you know, you're talking specifically about Steve and Joy about how they bet on games. It's not because they are Eagles fans or they're Jets fans they bet on teams. They bet on teams based on analytics. So when you look at sports are going to play, we have analytics from all over the world. We have about 50 professional leagues right now being played all over the world. So look at what's going right now in Major League Baseball. The Miami Marlins have 17 tests as of this podcast we're taping right now. 15 of their players, that's half their roster, 2 coaches. The Philadelphia Phillies have not tested one person positive for coronavirus, not yet. In the entire league, 3 previous days from where we're airing this podcast, 6,400 tests. It is a 99.7% rate of negative tests. The only people that are testing positive right now are the Miami Marlins. So when you talk about are we going to play, I think there's an overreaction right here to the media. That's not to diminish the loss of life. That's not to diminish people getting hurt, putting money in front of it. Understand this. When you're talking about college sports, University of Texas makes $219 million for their football program. There's a lot of pressure for them to play based upon money because that funds a lot of the other programs. What we're trying to figure out right now, is this safe to play? You know, you have so much money that's being leveraged. You have the UFC 251. It was the most bought pay-per-view, most bet pay-per-view of all time, including Conor McGregor. The first game between the Yanks and the Nats, the most bet baseball game of all time, more than Game 7. There's a lot of money behind this, but when you talk about is it safe to play, look at some of the leagues that are playing. The NHL, who's in a bubble, and I'll get the teams that are not in a bubble. In Toronto and Edmonton, they have 0 tests recently. Out of 4,256 tests, 0 have tested positive. Some were testing positive when they started to come in. The NFL is probably going to see that coming up next Tuesday as well when players start to come in. The NBA, current testing, 346 players, 0 positive. Major League Soccer, Nashville and Dallas both could not play the season because of positive tests. Sound a lot like Miami? Yes, it does. What do they have now? 0 tests. Out of the last 4,500 tests, 0 are positive. The WNBA had some COVID tests be positive. What do they have now? 0. They're at IMGM Academy down in Bradenton, Florida. So those are all in a bubble. You say, well, Major League Baseball should be in a bubble. Really? Let me talk to you about teams that aren't in a bubble. The Premier League, not in a bubble. In the last week, 720 to 726, 1,574 tests, 0 positive. These guys are living at home. These guys are going to grocery stores in a COVID hotspot of UK. Okay, let's talk about other COVID hotspots. The Italian League started not to play, Serie A. You have Juventus, who's in the Champions League. What are they doing? They're finishing their season. Spain, La Liga, finishing their season. Bundesliga, finishing their season. And what are those countries doing now? They're not only playing each other, they're about to play other countries. So in Leipzig, in Germany, is going to play in the Champions League. Juventus in Italy. You have Real Madrid, who, by the way, you just had a player test positive in Real Madrid. So the testing is working. Also, Man City is from the UK. All coronavirus hotspots are playing. So what's going on in other countries, other continents? KBO, Korean baseball. They said if we have 1 positive test, remember South Korea was a hotspot. We're going to disband the entire season. They're not only playing their season, they're going to allow 10% of their crowd to come back. Japan, right now, just had the all-time coronavirus high as far as infection rates. What do they have? They have the Nippon Baseball League playing. 5,000 fans are allowed to attend. They're so successful with that, the J-League soccer team is about to start up as well. 5,000 fans. Second and third division is about to play as well. So what about the rest of the world? There's 50 leagues playing. Qatari League, Javi Hernandez, the Spain and Barcelona legend, just tested positive. He tested positive because they're testing, but they're playing in Qatar. The Iran Pro League, Iran, the COVID hotspot. just had a team that couldn't play because they tested positive for COVID. They're playing their professional league. Here's my point. If Iran can figure out how to play a professional league, you're telling me that the United States, with the best healthcare system in the world and so much money behind these professional sports, can't play the pro league as well? I mean, you're going to have players that are going to opt out. I was asked to go down and commentate on WrestleMania. That was right when Washington, D.C. was a coronavirus hotspot of the entire world. So I looked at the odds, and here's what I decided. At the time, it's about 1% chance that I would catch coronavirus. And out of that 1%, 85% chance that it would not be something that would hospitalize me. So when I looked at that, I thought I have a 99.85% chance to go down, do WrestleMania, and be perfectly fine. I took that chance. Some players will not, and that's okay. They're going to say, I've got kids, I've got a family, I can't do it. That's fine. We're not saying don't play if you feel uncomfortable. We're saying, is it safe to play professional leagues? And what we've seen, Coach, empirically, overwhelming evidence that all over the world, pro leagues are not only playing, but also thriving in coronavirus hotspots. Now, we may see that teams don't want to go down and play in Miami. You had 76,000 cases last week of coronavirus in Florida. You had 2,000 in Massachusetts. The Patriots may say, we don't want to go play Miami. The governor of New York may say, if you come from Miami, you've got to quarantine. They're going to work around that. There's enough money to. Maybe it's Miami has to go to Foxborough to play. Maybe it's Miami comes to New York and play. Or like Brazil's Olympic team, you go and house yourself in Portugal. They're not going to house themselves in Portugal, but they can come house themselves in a state that they could live in and stay in and play the professional league. So all of this stuff about we can't have the season, we can't have this, we can't have that, the numbers don't add up to that. So what does this mean for money? The money means if you see stocks like DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, Disney, which owns ESPN, if you see those stocks dipping only because of coronavirus, to me, I think it's a buying opportunity because the numbers say something different.
Well, I'm hoping more Patriots players opt out because we're holding that Buffalo Bills ticket at 33-1. So Chunk can sit out. Mike Tower can sit out. Anyone on that Patriots team that wants to sit out, they can come hang over here, man. I got a place for them, so.
Boy.
Jets,
and
New York Jets.
I respect guys that are opting out, but some of them $8 million paycheck, and they're walking away from that. That is crazy to me. But to each his own, to your point. And when I was in Florida last week, guys, real quick, I was in a county that they don't even require masks right now, which kind of blew me away. Of course, I was wearing mine, but so it's to your point, Johnny. It is we play, we're smart, and it is going to affect the business of sports betting because of what the Godfather just said. When players dip out, a lot of these bets are now action bets, especially in baseball. So we benefited the very first night, Yankees Nationals, didn't we? When Soto went down. So it's definitely affecting this business, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and we're not doing any besmirching anybody choosing not to play. No. That's their choice. And we're not saying that this pandemic is not real. It's absolutely 100% real. It's just, can you play and can you play safely? And what we've seen overwhelmingly around the globe is that you can do that. And that's why I believe you can always get, Manfred may do something crazy and cancel the baseball season. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the safe bet is to say sports is going to continue in the U.S.
Very good stuff. Always good stuff for the finance guys out there that are want to know how we affect the business, how this is going to affect going forward. Real quickly, Johnny, business as a whole, not just sports business, how do you think all the things you just said quickly are going to affect business?
I think it's so dependent right now on the PPP being extended. You have the Republicans fighting the Democrats over how much they're going to extend unemployment benefits, which is a big thing for as far as consumer spending, and also as far as the PPP loans for businesses to keep people on the payroll. This economy depends a lot right now on government intervention, which is always scary because these guys in D.C. are so capricious in the way they do things. You never know if they're going to do what will be best for the country rather than for themselves. I'm talking both sides here. I'm not taking a political stance either here. It's just tough to bet when you're betting on stocks because of government intervention.